Winter is coming, and with it the familiar advice to start popping vitamin D pills. Sunlight fades, days grow shorter, and millions reach for supplements to keep their bones strong and their immune systems ready. But what if one of the most common forms of that supplement, often found in fortified plant milks, multivitamins, and pharmacy shelves, is not only less effective but might actually be doing more harm than good? A groundbreaking new study has turned conventional wisdom on its head, revealing a surprising twist in the story of vitamin D that could change how we think about supplementation forever. For years, health authorities have treated the two main forms of vitamin D, D2 and D3, as interchangeable. Whether you get your daily dose from a cow-derived capsule or a mushroom-based gummy, the assumption has been that both will do the job. After all, they are both called vitamin D. But science is starting to show that this assumption may be dangerously oversimplified. The body does not process these two forms the same way, and now evidence suggests something even more startling. Taking vitamin D2 might actually reduce the amount of vitamin D3 circulating in your system, the very form your body makes naturally and relies on most. This discovery came from an in-depth analysis of multiple clinical trials, combining data from hundreds of participants who were given either D2, D3, or no supplement at all. What researchers found was unexpected. Those who took D2 did not just fail to raise their overall vitamin D levels as effectively as those taking D3, they actually experienced a drop in their natural D3 concentrations. In some cases, their D3 levels fell below those of people taking no supplement whatsoever. This raises a red flag. Are we inadvertently weakening our own internal supply of the most beneficial form of this essential nutrient by choosing the wrong kind of supplement? To understand why this matters, it helps to know how vitamin D works in the body. Unlike other vitamins, vitamin D behaves more like a hormone. It is involved in everything from calcium absorption and bone strength to cell growth, inflammation control, and crucially, immune function. When sunlight hits the skin, a chemical reaction converts cholesterol into vitamin D3, which then travels to the liver and kidneys to be transformed into its active form. This natural version, D3, is highly efficient at raising and maintaining blood levels of the nutrient. Vitamin D2, on the other hand, comes primarily from plant and fungal sources, such as irradiated yeast or mushrooms. While it can increase total vitamin D readings in blood tests, it does so in a way that is less stable and shorter lasting. But the real shock lies beyond mere efficiency. New research shows that D2 and D3 are not just different in potency, they appear to play entirely different roles in the body, especially when it comes to immunity. One of the most powerful defenses humans have against invading pathogens is the type I interferon system. Think of it as the body's early warning radar, detecting viruses before they can take hold and triggering a cascade of protective responses. This system is vital during cold and flu season, and especially relevant in a world still learning to live with respiratory threats. Here's the kicker. Only vitamin D3 has been shown to activate this critical defense mechanism. D2 appears to have no effect. That means someone taking a D2 supplement may technically have acceptable vitamin D levels on paper, but their immune system could still be operating with a blind spot. Imagine filling your gas tank with a fuel substitute that powers the engine but disables the airbags. That is essentially what might be happening when people rely on D2. The body gets energy, but protection is compromised. For decades, public health campaigns have urged people to maintain adequate vitamin D, particularly in northern countries where sunlight is weak for much of the year. In the United Kingdom, officials recommend 10 micrograms daily during autumn and winter. But if large portions of the population are getting that intake from less effective or even counterproductive sources, the guidance may not be achieving its intended goal. The implications extend far beyond individual choices. Walk into any supermarket and you will see shelves lined with plant-based milk alternatives, almond, oat, soy, all proudly labeled as fortified with vitamin D. Flip the label and chances are it is D2. Why? Because D2 is traditionally derived from fungi, making it suitable for vegan and vegetarian diets. D3, historically sourced from lanolin and sheep wool, was not considered plant-friendly. But that has changed. Advances in biotechnology have made it possible to produce D3 from lichen, a sustainable plant-based source. Yet despite this innovation, many food manufacturers continue to use D2 out of habit, cost, or lack of awareness. As a result, people who choose dairy-free options in pursuit of better health may unknowingly be selecting a weaker form of vitamin D, one that may interfere with their body's ability to defend itself. This creates a paradox. Consumers trying to make ethical or dietary conscious decisions could be left more vulnerable simply because the system has not caught up with the science. And since vitamin D deficiency is already widespread, especially among urban populations, older adults, and those with darker skin tones, the stakes are high. Weak bones, increased risk of fractures, fatigue, muscle pain, and a sluggish immune response are all linked to low levels. Now add to that the possibility that certain supplements might actively suppress the most beneficial form of the vitamin, and the picture becomes even more concerning. So why has this gone unnoticed for so long? Part of the answer lies in how we measure success. Blood tests typically report total vitamin D, combining D2 and D3 into a single number. If D2 inflates that total, doctors may assume a patient is well supplied, even if their D3, the biologically active, immune-supporting form, is actually declining. It is like judging the quality of a meal by its volume rather than its nutritional content. You might feel full, but you are not truly nourished. Only recently have researchers begun to separate the two forms in their analyses, peeling back the layers to see what each one is really doing inside the body. Another reason is tradition. Medicine and nutrition often move slowly, relying on established practices until overwhelming evidence forces a shift. For years, D2 was used in prescription doses and considered medically acceptable. It became embedded in guidelines, food policies, and manufacturing standards. Change requires not just new data but also updated regulations, industry cooperation, and public education. That takes time and momentum. This latest research may be the push needed to accelerate that process. What should ordinary people do in the meantime? First, check your supplements. Look beyond the front label that says vitamin D and scan the ingredients for whether it is D2 or D3. If you are using a multivitamin, a standalone pill, or drinking fortified beverages, make sure you know what form you are consuming. Second, consider switching to D3, especially if you are in a high-risk group or rely on supplements year-round. Third, do not assume that natural or plant-based automatically means better. While plant-based D3 now exists, many products still default to D2 simply because it has always been that way. There is also a broader lesson here about how we think about nutrition. We tend to treat vitamins as simple checkboxes. Take the pill, hit the target, done. But the body is not a machine that runs on isolated parts. Nutrients interact, compete, and influence each other in complex ways. The idea that two compounds with similar names and overlapping functions can have opposite effects depending on context is a reminder that biology is rarely black and white. Just because two things fall under the same category does not mean they are equally beneficial, or even safe to use interchangeably. As winter approaches and immune concerns rise, the message is clear: not all vitamin D is created equal. The form you choose matters, not just for your bones, but for your body's ability to fight off illness before it starts. Science is showing that the best choice is not the cheapest, the most traditional, or the one with the cleanest label marketing. It is the one that aligns with how your body actually works. And right now, the evidence points overwhelmingly to D3 as the superior option. Public health agencies, food producers, and healthcare providers now face a decision. Will they continue to treat D2 and D3 as equals, or will they update recommendations based on emerging science? Will fortified foods begin to use plant-based D3 instead of D2, ensuring that everyone, including vegans and vegetarians, gets the most effective form? These changes would not require revolutionary technology or massive spending. They require awareness, courage, and a willingness to adapt. In the end, this is not just about a vitamin. It is about trust in the information we are given, the products we buy, and the choices we make for our families. It is about recognizing that small details, like a single letter in a chemical name, can have big consequences for health. And it is about demanding better from the systems that shape our daily lives. Because when it comes to staying healthy through the dark months, the difference between D2 and D3 might be the difference between standing strong and being caught off guard. If you found this eye-opening look into the truth about vitamin D helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss another deep dive into the science behind your health. What you choose to put in your body matters, and now you know, not all vitamin D is the same. Share this with someone who takes supplements or drinks fortified plant milks, because knowledge is power when it comes to staying healthy. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and take care of yourself, because your body is listening.